So I sent out an email recently. If you want to join the To Fluency email list, download the book below and you'll be part of that email list. But I sent an email out recently asking about what videos you want to see me make next. And a lot of people said phrasal verbs. So people want to be able to learn phrasal verbs. And there is a good reason to learn phrasal verbs because they are commonly used in everyday English. Now, I was meeting with some people today, and sometimes when I meet people, I analyse the type of language that they are using. And I noticed, again, people use phrasal verbs all the time. It's very commonplace. So, in order to express yourself properly, and maybe more importantly, in order to understand everyday English, it is a good idea to learn phrasal verbs. Now, if you're new to the To Fluency channel, then know that we are interested in effective learning, meaning learning high frequency verbs, high frequency phrases, so that you are not wasting your time learning things you don't need to know, and you can be more efficient in the way that you learn. And I recommend that you do this for phrasal verbs too. Now, there are two ways to go about learning new phrasal verbs. Firstly, you can look up commonly used phrasal verbs. So after this video is finished, just do a search for the top 100 phrasal verbs in English. Or if you want to get specific to your area of English, the top 25 business English phrasal verbs. And just change business English for whatever area of English you are learning. So that's number one. That's the first way we can do it. Look up commonly used phrasal verbs. Number two is to learn phrasal verbs as you come across them. To come across, to just see something, to find something by chance. You are not purposefully looking for something, but instead you come across it. For example, let's say you are reading a new book and you love the book and you come across a new phrasal verb. You think, okay, this is new. Let's look this up, to look up a phrasal verb and find out the definition, find out what this means. And what you're doing here is you are learning as you go. You are not focusing specifically on phrasal verbs, but instead learning them as you come across new ones. So both of these ways are great. So firstly, find the most frequently used ones. Secondly, learn them as you come across them. It's good to know some of the basics of phrasal verbs, the basics of grammar. But if you learn phrasal verbs through sentences, then you will internalize the type of structures and the way that we use phrasal verbs. So for example, some phrasal verbs are separable, some are inseparable. Some have two extra words, some have one extra word after the verb. So knowing some of the basics can help you, but in order to be able to use them properly, what you need to do is to learn them through sentences. So going back to method 1, where you get a list of phrasal verbs. And what you can do here is download the list and use some type of method. I advise the To Fluency method in order to internalize them. So take sentences, look up new sentences, and then use the Grammarly app to practice writing so that it can correct you when you make mistakes. So let's say, for example, you learn the phrasal verb to look up, and you say, okay, I'm going to practice a sentence here. I look up it. Grammarly will tell you, no, I look it up. So you learn that the pronoun goes in between look and up. So practicing using Grammarly will give you feedback on the mistakes that you make. So this is a great way for you to actually be able to use phrasal verbs. Secondly, use them in conversations too. So the next time you have a conversation with somebody, try and use them if possible. So obviously you're not just using it for the sake of it, but use them if you can in order to get that practice. And then if you are learning through sentences, look up more sentences using the same phrasal verb so you get a good variety. Use them in different tenses. Somebody got in touch with me recently. Somebody sent me an email saying what I do is I take a sentence and then I modify it into different tenses. So that's what you could do too. I look it up. I looked it up. I'm going to look it up later. I've already looked it up. And this just gives you more practice and more flexibility for when you get to use these phrasal verbs. Another thing about phrasal verbs is to treat them just like you would any other type of vocabulary. Like you would when you're learning different phrases, maybe idioms, verbs, nouns, etc. It's just another type of vocabulary that you can use when you're speaking English. And what I want you to do is to try and notice how often people use phrasal verbs. So the next time you're reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching a video like this, notice how often we use phrasal verbs in English. It is common. So like I said before, it's a good idea to learn more about them. Okay, so to help you with this, I'm going to link to a playlist below where I have, I think, about 20 lessons on various phrasal verbs. There are probably around 50 phrasal verbs in total because some lessons have 2 or more in them. And go through these lessons and write these phrasal verbs down and then try to create more sentences using the phrasal verbs that you have learned. And also, if you are a Fluency Program member, then know that I am currently recording a new lesson and creating fluency phrases and memory cards based on these lessons. So, if you're not a member, go into the description below to learn more about the Fluency Program and the method and how you can get access to it. A few phrasal verbs that we have used in this lesson are to come across and to look up. Now, I just want to give you a quick lesson on the difference between come across and run into. So, you come across something by chance. I came across this new article the other day while I was browsing Facebook. So you weren't actively searching for it, but you found it online and it caught your attention. But to run into someone means that you found somebody or you saw somebody by chance. You didn't actively want to meet this person, but you ran into them in the supermarket or you ran into them while you were downtown. So I love it when I run into people when I'm out shopping or when my family and I go and do something out in nature. I love running into people. It's a great way just to feel part of the community where you live. Check out the description for the phrasal verb lessons and more information on the program. And then leave some comments below telling me your favorite phrasal verbs or some common phrasal verbs that some people watching this should learn. Okay, thank you so much for spending this time with me today and learning English with